Welcome back to another episode of Learning KUDWA. We are 7 episodes in and we are just getting started. I know that he said he would only be coming in episode 6, but he's here once again and I'd like to drag him back in. This is Variant's second co-founder, Jared. Jared, I'm very happy to have you here with me once more.
I'm happy you're happy.
So, if you clicked on this video, we likely don't need to explain to you the importance of effective leadership in the workplace, but it is fair to say that it's a big deal, something that you likely take seriously. So today we are going to be giving you some powerful leadership principles that you need to start implementing right away.
In fact, Liam, I can think of 2 complementary principles that all managers really need to practice. Our first principle would be guide instead of instruct or direct. And number 2, use questions to lead your employees.
Yeah, and that's a really good place to start. But would you agree that managers also have to instruct the people that they manage? Guiding is not always the right approach. In fact, most often, instructing seems like it's the only option available to our managers, since guiding is not necessarily an easy thing, as I'm sure many would agree.
We live in such a high-pressured work environment. It's time to really slow down, guide, listen, coach. I've got deadlines, you've got deadlines. My deadlines depend on your deadlines. I need you to get the work done so I can get the work done. We've got orders to fill.
Yeah, and I can hear the listeners in our audience thinking, you don't know the people on my team. I just don't have the time. I don't have the energy to be guiding people. Surely it's not one or the other.
There isn't really an absolute leadership style to every approach. But this makes me think of that research paper from 1969, I think it was, by Ken Blanchard or something like that, Paul Hersey, where they said that they believe that there's no one size fits all to all leadership styles and all situations. We see that today as situational leadership. But generally, there are 4 types of leadership styles that all managers will use.
Okay.
And if we have a look at our picture, we can see those leadership styles.
Yeah.
There's the telling or instructing or directing, the lowest level of trust, basically just telling them what to do. There's selling or coaching. There's also participating and supporting. And then there's delegating, the highest level of trust, basically giving our responsibility away. But for today's episode, we're really going to focus on those 2 on the top, supporting and coaching. And if you have a look at the picture there, we really see that supporting and coaching is an essential bridge between delegating and directing.
That's an awesome starting point, Jared, because this is really the backbone of our KUDWA framework and our online Bash platform. And our Bash platform is really a space where managers can come and practice these skills and they can harness and utilize what we're teaching them. It's a single time in the week where they can get together and calm everything down and really focus on that guiding aspect. So let's begin with our first essential leadership principle. Listening builds trust. And this is linked to what you mentioned earlier about guidance and instruction. So first things first, Jared, what's the difference? What is the difference between guiding someone and instructing them?
That's a good question, Liam. So guidance from a leadership point of view can really be summed up as being open and collaborative. You as a manager will really help them navigate their options and their potential decisions. You're not exactly telling them what to do, but you're also leading them or guiding them towards the right decision. Whereas instructions or directing them is telling them exactly what to do.
Yeah.
You're giving them steps, protocols, best practices, and they need to follow those things to the T, leaving possibly no room for deviation.
Yeah.
Now, this most commonly happens, especially when you're training a new person to a job, because they know literally nothing about the job.
Yeah, okay. So I'm understanding the difference now. Thanks for that explanation, Jared. So I'm sure from Jared's explanation, you can already gauge why we prefer guidance as a leadership trait compared to simply providing instruction. There are appropriate times to guide and there are appropriate times to instruct. However, if as a manager you remain in that style, it will lead to your team becoming demoralized. Guidance is empowering. It triggers autonomous thinking and opens up communication between you and your people, where instruction inhibits your people's thinking. I'm sure you've seen this for yourselves. It makes them want to perpetually rely on you as a manager or a leader for answers, not seeking them themselves. Guidance opens the doors to trust, it opens the doors to creativity, that autonomous thinking we were talking about earlier. So I think we're done selling guidance to you for now, but we have a feeling that by this point, you're already sold. So how do we guide effectively? And how do we get these amazing outcomes that all business managers dream of when it comes to guidance?
Well, I think guidance begins before you even say a word. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it really means that the first step to guidance is active listening and being present. As a manager, you generally need to listen to your people, understand, your people. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses?
Yeah.
What are their concerns? What are their challenges? Instead of just listening to them and nodding your head, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I will admit I am guilty of. But we really need to pay attention to our people. We need to really know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what are their concerns, what are their challenges. We need to know when they're having a bad day, which we all get, and when they're having a good moment in life.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, Jared. But the thing is, to do that, it requires empathy. You need to have deep, empathetic listening skills, which is hard for many people, let alone managers.
So, especially we need to pay attention to the quality of work. We need to know when they need our input, or when they need our assistance. Before we can attempt to guide, we really need to genuinely listen to our people, and be there for them physically, mentally, and also emotionally.
That is some sound advice, Jared. Hey, $1 million stuff right there. So there's a couple techniques that you can start applying right now to ramp up your active listening game. The first one is to maintain eye contact. By maintaining eye contact, you show your people that you are focused on them. This also sends a subconscious signal to your mind that this is something you need to focus on because you're looking at it. You need to, number 2, remove distractions, especially your mobile device. Put it on silent if you lack the self-control and you can't ignore all of those notifications that keep popping up. The third thing you need to do, avoid interrupting the speaker. When someone is talking to you, listen to them. Allow them to finish speaking before you interject or interrupt what they're going to say or respond. Perhaps you have an empathetic response. You just want to give it, hold it back, let them speak, and then you can respond. Number 4, practice reflective listening. So when someone is speaking to you, summarize or rephrase what they've said to you to ensure that you understood them correctly. This also shows them that you're actually engaged and that you are actually listening to what they're saying. And 5, final point, most important one, after you've allowed them to finish, ask clarifying questions that are open-ended. Ask questions that encourage the speaker to elaborate, to share more details. This also demonstrates your interest in understanding their perspective and where they're coming from, and it makes them feel more heard by you as well. Like I said, that last tip, it's especially important because the power of questions is sometimes a forgotten leadership skill. It's a skill very few try to harness, and as we can see, it quite clearly has a very close bond with your ability to guide people. Now, that leads us to our second essential leadership principle. What is that, Jared?
Well, that's going to be unleashing the power of questions. So what we're talking about here is using questions effectively to lead employees in the right direction to the right outcome. And as a bonus, you also encourage them to think for themselves.
Yeah, now we haven't really explained much about the name of our channel, KUDWA, or Learning KUDWA. But KUDWA is actually an acronym. It stands for knowledge, understanding, discernment, wisdom, and accountability. And the use of thoughtful questions really unleashes the D in KUDWA, which stands for discernment. So, Jared, how do we define discernment in KUDWA?
Well, we define discernment as the ability to make good judgment decisions based on the knowledge and understanding that we already know.
Yeah.
And that's really the K and U in KUDWA as well. Now, KUDWA really encourages managers to lead their teams with discernment so that they can make good decisions, better decisions. And that's what makes questions so powerful, because questions actually trigger discernment in your team, in your employees. They have the ability to influence the outcomes that you as a manager desire.
Yeah, when you lead with questions, you open up discussion, you engage deep thinking, you guide your people down the most desired path for your team. That's the key here. You guide your people down the most desired path for your team. But remember, the aim of using questions is not to tell your people what to do, but to allow them to use their discernment to make the best possible decisions. This means that you must understand how they think as an individual, and that both of you must have alignment in your goals and your purpose for the future as an organization or as a team.
And we're going to bring you more content on how to grow discernment in the people on your team. Because discernment is not a natural talent we're born with, but it is an ability that you can learn. It can be trained in you as a manager, and you can nurture it in those on your team as well. So stick close to our channel and we'll teach you the know-how.
Yeah, exactly. So how exactly does one go about framing questions that lead to outcomes that you desire? This is definitely something that you're thinking about as you're watching this. So Jared, how do we go about framing these effective guidance questions?
Okay, so generally speaking, when we think of questions, there are really two types. There's open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are questions that require specific information quickly.
Yeah.
Like, what's the time and the date and time for that event we're supposed to go to?
Yeah.
What's the progress on that project you're working on?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. When it comes to leading people towards a desired outcome that you as a manager want, open-ended questions is really what you want to use. Mm-hmm. Now, open-ended questions are good because they engage deep thinking, they start discussions, they engage collaboration and problem solving, which are all qualities that a manager wants in his team, isn't it?
You're 100% correct, Jared. And we have our own questioning method that applies the principles of KUDWA. The KUDWA questioning method, if you will, we've trademarked it, don't try and take it away from us. But we're going to try and sum up the entirety of this video into giving you practical questioning tips using the KUDWA questioning method. This is the method we recommend to all our clients and to our BASH facilitators. Now, BASH facilitators are the leaders of the teams that subscribe to our KUDWA model and who are running on our BASH system. BASH is a tool for tracking your goals, your key results, your projects. We use it to cultivate a culture of accountability, of celebration, collaboration, and high standards. We also use it to track data like culture data, operations data, and much, much more. Okay, we're done selling BASH to you now. Let's get into those questioning tips.
Okay, so back to the KUDWA questioning method. These categories and examples that we're going to use now are really to help a manager encourage deep thinking in his team so that they can make better choices.
Yeah, so the first one is goal clarification and alignment. So what are the specific outcomes that you're looking for in this situation? Frame your questions around that. Or how do these commitments align with our team goals and key results? That's something that you can ask your people. So make sure that you use these KUDWA questioning for goal clarification and alignment.
Yeah. You can also use these questions to explore strategies. Like, for example, what approaches or tactics or strategies have you considered to achieve the outcomes that you want? Or can you think of an alternative way that you can go about to achieve this outcome that you maybe haven't explored yet?
Yeah. Third one is anticipating consequences. So when speaking to someone, you might say something like, if you were to choose this course of action, what positive outcomes might result? Or what challenges or potential roadblocks do you anticipate that you will encounter along the way?
So we also want to use questions to consider the values and principles of your employees. Like, you can ask a question such as, how would your decision or actions align with our team's values or even our organizational values? Another question is, what do you think should guide your choices in this situation?
Yeah, another thing you want to do is analyze the risks and analyze the benefits. So you can ask them, what are the potential risks of the option that you are considering? Or perhaps even, what are the potential benefits of taking a more thoughtful and strategic approach? I'm just going to add a bonus one there as well. They reflect on the long-term impact. So you can ask how much your choices now or today impact our future growth and opportunities.
Yeah. Another form of questioning could be to seek alternative perspectives. You could ask, have you thought about how others on the team might approach the situation? Or what insights do you think you could gain by informing other colleagues about the situation and gaining their inputs?
Yeah. Another thing you want to do is foster ownership within your people through your questions. So you can ask them, what action steps have you taken to demonstrate ownership of the decision-making process and its outcomes?
And then our last one, crafting an action plan. You could ask, what actionable steps do you intend to take when moving forward? What specific milestones can you set to measure your progress toward your desired outcome?
Yeah, so we know there was a lot there, but this is the KUDWA questioning method. There's a lot more, but we don't want to bombard you, so feel free to go back and maybe take some notes, some screenshots, share them with your people as well. But this is a very effective method of questioning. Dear manager, as is the title of many of our videos, do not use all of these questions at the same time. Look at the context of the situation, like Jared mentioned earlier, situational leadership, and use them as and when is needed. These questions aim to provoke thoughtful consideration and empower team members to think critically about the decisions that they make. By engaging them in dialogue that encourages self-reflection and exploration, managers can effectively guide their team members towards making informed decisions that align with their goals and contribute to the organization's success. So, in conclusion, this is how you become an exceptional leader. Hey, these two fundamental leadership principles will set you on a path to becoming that exceptional leader that you want to be. So start testing them out right away. Go back, rewind, take some notes, and see what you can begin applying in your context of your team and your organization. So thank you once again for joining me, Jared. He said it was going to be his last. It wasn't, and we're going to see him soon. I'm pretty sure of that.
What are you so sure?
I'm pretty sure he's going to be with us. Don't take his word for it, but please like, subscribe, watch some more of our videos. If you like videos like this, if you want more content, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can see when we upload again. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.